How's it going, badass coders, soon-to-be coders, and engineer extraordinaires? Hope you're doing well. In today's video, let's take a look at data types and variables and assignments in Python. So let's start by opening up a browser, and you can use the online-python.com IDE to compile your Python code. Otherwise, if you're using another IDE like VS Code, I also have that here. You can open up a folder or directory, create a new file. I'm on a Mac, so I like to use the Shift return key to run my Python code as a hotkey. I can walk you through this as well. We will open up desktop, go to a projects folder. I already have a folder or directory here. You can open that. You will see that it opens the Explorer to the left. You can simply create a file by clicking the icon here, naming it, my file, and then make sure you give it a .py extension. And then you can see that you can type your code right into the file. So if I have a variable name and I want to print this or be able to compile this as code and see the value of Duke, then I can come here and select play, and I will see that down below, Duke. So for this tutorial, let's go back to the online editor, and I have my variable here, and I'm using the assignment operator, which is an equal sign, and this states that there is a value that is assigned to this variable, which is Bobby. This is a data type of string, and we know this because of the open and closed double quotes. This is the open and this is the closed double quote. We're using a method called print, which is a function, and we pass in, or we put the name of the variable, which we've just happened to call name, inside of this method, and then when we run it, we are going to see the value, which is Bobby. In Python, data types are used to define the type of data that a variable can hold. So in this case, the type of data is a string. So Bobby being the value or the data, its type is a string indicated by the double quotes. And also we have other types like integers, floats, lists, tuples, dictionaries, and booleans, which we are going to look at examples of. So for integers, let's create a variable name, and integers include whole numbers, so positive or negative, but they do not include the decimal point. So if we had a positive integer, give it the assignment operator, and this might be some number like this without the decimal point and is a positive number. We can also include a negative integer, and we could say negative 635, and then we can look at an example of a float, a number with a decimal point. This might be 23.5. So you can see that different data types have different characteristics, even when referring to types of numbers. We can also run these and call our positive integer negative integer and my float, and then select run, and we can see our values down below printed in the console. Now let's make some more examples that are perhaps a little bit more relevant. We can get rid of these. And let's use our integer data types, again positive or negative, no decimal point, and let's just measure our TikTok likes. And we can assign the number 873 to this. So the variable named TikTok likes is used to store the number of likes on a TikTok video. In this case, the value assigned to TikTok likes is 873. Then we could create, say, a duration. So TikTok duration, and let's use the value of 15. So the variable is TikTok duration, or the variable name. It's used to store the length of a TikTok video in seconds, which is the assigned duration of 15. And this is an integer. And let's do one more. Let's take a look at TikTok views and use our assignment operator, and you've gone viral. And so we have the variable named TikTok views. Our assignment operator assigns the value and assigns the value 1,250,000. So in this case, the value assigned to the TikTok views is of the type integer as well, and these are all positive. We could easily make these negative and then print and run each of these. Start with likes, print them all in the same order. Notice the code completion on here is very helpful. You can actually type the keyword or the unique keyword within the variable name, and it will pick it up from the list. And there you go. Here are some more relevant examples for integer data types in variables in Python. And just a little tip for formatting longer values. You can also use an underscore in place of a comma for longer numbers so that you can easily see the decimal places or the place value in longer numbers. Now let's look at how to update an integer value for a variable. So if we wanted to update our TikTok likes, we could come down here and use the equal sign and then call our likes and our addition operator, and we could increase it by 1. And now if we print our TikTok likes, you can see it's gone from 873 to 874. We can use the shorthand version, which is to add our plus sign right next to the equal sign. And we can completely remove the addition operator and the variable name from the right side of the equation and select run, and we still receive 874. Keep in mind that you would use the other mathematical operators in the same fashion that we used here, even with the shorthand versions. So as an example, if we wanted to use the TikTok views, we could use the multiplication equals and then 2 if you wanted to double it. And then you can see that the value has been multiplied by 2 down here. If we updated this number, just to easily see the calculation here and run this, we can see that multiplication was completed. You could also subtract 2 and run it, and we get the value of 1 when the value was set to 3. Also, you may be in a position where you need to initialize a variable without a value. So you might have views up here and you would assign it the value of none. None is handling the absence of a value at this point in the code. And then notice as we jump down to line 7, the views are given a new value of 3, and then we run a calculation on it. And we could subtract 3 and run this, and you can see we get the value of 0. So this can be applied to all your variables. A best practice if you need to initialize a variable with a default value or no value is to use a value that is of the same number type. So if we knew that we were working with integers, we would use the 0. And then run this, and you can see our calculation turns out exactly the same. And this is great because it gives you an indicator or a reminder as you're working through the code about which data types you're working with. Now on to the string data type, which is a sequence of characters that are enclosed in quotes, like we looked at earlier, and those are single or double quotes. And let's take a look at a few examples using maybe some Instagram features as our variable names. So we could start with username and assign a value. And you can see here the variable name is username, and it's used to store the username of an Instagram account. So in this case, the value that's assigned to username is a string with Rockstar Mike in it. Let's create another variable name. Let's call this caption. Use our assignment operator and add our string value. Hashtag beach, hashtag ocean, hashtag vacation, yo. So you can see here the variable named caption is used to store the text description of an Instagram post. And in this case, the value assigned to caption is a string that reads, having a great day at the beach, hashtag beach, hashtag ocean, hashtag vacation. And then let's create a third example. Our variable name could be hashtags, our assignment operator to give this a string value. And why don't we use these single quotes just so you can see that they work as well in just the same way. Hashtag OOTD, hashtag fashion, hashtag style. So once again, the variable hashtags is used to store the hashtags associated with an Instagram post. And so in this case, the value assigned to hashtags is a string. And then we can print these out to see their values once again. And we can select run, and we see our string values in the output. In Python, strings are immutable, which means that they cannot change the value of a string once it's been created, like we have here. So there are several ways to update a string variable to a new value. So one approach is to use concatenation. So we can use the plus sign or the addition operator to concatenate multiple strings together. So as an example, we might say create a new variable called result, and then we could add our username with our caption and print that result. Go ahead and run that, and then you can see that the output has combined these strings. And then if you actually need spaces or white space in between these strings that are added together, you can create that in the initial string value. So since we have username first, we could add a white space after, run that, and you can see that in the result set. Another option to update strings is using string formatting. We're using the format method. We can create a new hashtags variable, and let's say that we want to include a new hashtag called for your page. I'm going to include an open close brace inside of the string itself, and then use the format method, and then inside of this format method pass the variable that you want to update for that string, and then we can print our updated string here, and you will see FYP at the beginning of that string. Equally, if we wanted to move FYP to the back, all we have to do is move the hashtag to the other side of the curly braces, and then you will see hashtag for your page at the end of our updated string. Another option for updating string data types is to use string interpolation. So you can use F strings for this, which is just formatted string literals, and we can embed expressions inside those string literals. So we could update username by creating a new variable here if we want, using the F keyword and then our double quotes, or we could use single here. And then we could say Rockstar Mike Miller, we could say hello. And then in curly braces, we could add that variable username. And then we could print our username update and hit run. And then there you can see hello Rockstar Mike. And let's say we wanted to embed a string at the end of our existing string variable. Then from here, what we could do is just simply move our placeholder to the front. So Rockstar Mike is in the front of the string, and we could add and then you can see that we have formatted it here, and we can adjust white space. Another way to update your strings is to use string slicing. So strings are just sequences of characters again, and each character in the string has what we call an index. So it's a number indicating a location for that letter. So as an example, if we want to print the username, and then the format for string slicing is to use square brackets following the name of the variable. Inside you use a colon, and let's say we want the third index. We could print this at the C. So if R is 0, 1, 2, 3, at the starting point, the number 3 is our endpoint, and so we're slicing or taking everything all the way up to 3. So if the left side of the colon is blank, it's the same as saying from the beginning all the way up until the third index. And you can also see that the end index number is not inclusive, so the K is not included in what we sliced out or extracted from the string. You can also use negative indices or an index to slice a string where -1 refers to the last character, or -2 refers to the second to the last character, and so on. So as an example, if we get rid of our 3, so we're basically saying all the way to the end from the very beginning, but then if we were to add -3 here and then print, then you can see that from the end of our string and then counting backwards 3 indices, we are going to extract that part of the string. So this is the end, then we're going to go back 1, 2, and 3. And you can see that we grabbed the last 3 characters of the string here. You can also slice a string by specifying a step. So this is the number of characters to skip between each character in the slice. So the default step is 1, but you can specify any positive or negative integer value here. So we could get rid of this. And for example, we could use step 2 to extract every second character from a string. So how do we do that? So we would include 2 colons here. So we're adding another place in here, if you can see that. So this place indicates starting. Initially, this indicated the ending. And then now we're adding on to the end again, and we're going to say basically skip every 2 indices. So then if we scroll up, you can see it almost looks like random lettering. We're starting from the beginning, we grab that R, so we skipped 1 letter, and then we skip the K to the S, so you get the drift of that. And then you can also use slicing to modify a part of a string by assigning a new value to the slice. So for example, you can replace, let's say, the word Mike by, let's see, so you can see here we're starting at the beginning of our string, going all the way to the 6th character. And then we want to add Python in the middle of that. And then in the next concatenation of that username string, we want to begin at the 11th value. So in this case, we don't have an 11th character. So we could say Rockstar Mike is the favorite, and run this. Let's print user update and run this. And then you can see rock st python ke is the favorite. So you can see it starts from the beginning of the string, goes up to the 6th, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the A, and then at the A value it places the beginning of the string, the P of Python, and then you can see it moves that slice of the initial string to start at the 11th. In Python, a list is a collection of items that are enclosed in square brackets. So let's take a look at that now. We can call this our Snapchat friends. And then we have the open and closed bracket. And now we can put the names of our friends in here. Alice, because everyone knows an Alice. Bob. And obviously Charlie. So the variable named snapFriends is used to store a list of friends on Snapchat account. So in this case, the value assigned to our snapFriends variable is a list of strings. And so our list, that once again is indicated by open and close brackets. There's our close, there's our open. And then also notice that we have various string data types enclosed in the list. So that's exactly what the list does, is it groups together other data types. And so from here, let's go ahead and create, let's say, filters. And this could be another list type. And maybe we have dog, cat, and a rabbit. And once again, you can see here the variable named filters is used to store a list of available face filters on our Snapchat account. So in this case, the value assigned to our filters variable is a list of strings. And so once again, our list is indicated by the open and closed brackets, and then the strings are indicated by the double quote open and closed for each value inside of it. Let's do another variable called the scores, and we can do our open and closed bracket indicating a list. We'll add values 20, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And once again, we have the variable named scores used to store a list of scores on our Snapchat account. And in this case, the value assigned to scores is a list of integers. And then once again, we can print snapFriends, print filters, print scores, and select run to see those values. In addition to the print method, another method that is priceless when it comes to working with various data types is the type method, and you can pass a variable name in here. So you can see the type if you wrap this in a print statement and then run this. And then at the top you can see that this is a list data type. So this is a huge help as your programs get more complex and you have a lot of data movement. There are several ways to update a list in Python. Let's look at a few of those. We can use the append method. So we can take our list like scores and then use dot syntax, the keyword append here. And then we could append the number 27. Run this, and then we can see that appending a value appends to the end of the list. Also, we can use the addition operator. The addition operator can be used to concatenate two lists together. So it works in the same way as we've seen it earlier. So we can take our list, we could update scores, make it equal to scores plus the value of, say, 199. Run this, and then we can see that 199 was placed into our scores first, because that's what comes next after our scores is declared here. And then we append the final value of 27 to the end. You can also use the extend method, and this method can be used to add multiple items to a list. So if we get rid of these, we can call our variable and use the dot extend method here. And then this uses a square, and then this uses square brackets since we are using a list. So we have to make the update with a list. So we could include 4, 5, 6, and then run this. And then you can see that extend method adding these values to the end of the list as well. We can also use the insert method, so we can reference our scores variable, use the dot syntax to insert, and open close parenthesis. The first number indicates the index location, so we're saying 0, 1. So the 10 represents the 0 location, 20 represents the 1 location, 30 represents the 2 locations. So we're saying we want the 1 location, so this value that follows is going to be the number we want to insert. So we could insert 52 and then run this, and we should see 52 at the beginning of our list at the 1 location. I'm sorry, we should see 52 in the 1 location of our list. So if we wanted it at the very beginning, we would update this to 0 and run. You can see it's at 52. If we wanted it to take the place of the end value, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we could say we want it at the 4 index and run that. And it's at the 4 index, and then you can see 50 was pushed to the end. So we could actually push this to the very end of the list by updating that, and now you can see our values at the end of our list. Also, you can use the multiplication operator to repeat a list a number of times, so creating a new list with the repeated items. So what we could do is use scores, and we could say it's equal to scores multiplied by 2 as an example, and run this. And then you can see that we've doubled each element inside of our list. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then it's multiplied all that by 2. So it's adding them a second time. Now there are several ways that we can remove an item from a Python list. Let's take a look at those. We can use the remove method, so we can use our list scores like we have been, use the dot syntax remove, our open and close parenthesis, and we could say that we want to remove the value of 20. Run this, And you can see the value of 20 is gone. We could get rid of the value of 10. You can see the value of 10 is gone. And by the way, the 20 is there again because now that we've ran the script through one more time, we are no longer seeing a removal for the value of 20 here. We could also use the pop method delete statement, which can be used to remove an item by specifying its index. So we can use the del keyword and then the name of our list and square brackets, and then indicate the index number of the value we want to remove. So if we wanted to indicate the first value, 10, we just say 0 and run this, and then 10 should be gone, which it is. If we wanted to remove, say 0, 1, 2, 3, 40, we wanted to remove the 40, we would just put the index of 3 here and run, and 40 is gone. Can also use the pop method. So this removes the item at the specified index and returns the removed item. So if we only wanted that one item out of the index, then we could say scores value removed, put this in a new variable, and then we can call scores and use the dot syntax method and use dot syntax to call the pop method, and then we could return, say, the index of 4, which would be the value of 50. And so if we print scores value removed, we should see 50 right here. And then we can also use slicing. So if we get rid of this, we can update our scores value. And basically what we're saying when we call the list here and we're using square brackets, as you've seen in other examples prior to this, what we're saying is we want to access this location by using these square brackets within this variable name. And whereas by calling the name of the variable over here, we are actually assigning these updated values to scores at this point within our code. So we could say that we want from the beginning of our list to the second index, and then we want to add that to scores, and we want it to start at the third index all the way to the end. So let's see what this produces if we print this. And then you can see here we have 10, 20, 40, and 50. And you can see that it's removed the second. So it's removed the second index. So you can see that it's pulling out everything from the beginning to the second index. So 0, 1, 2, it's not inclusive. On the right side of the colon is not inclusive because that's the end value. And then we're saying that on the remainder of our scores list, we want the third, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 40, to the very end of the list, 50. And that is what is produced in our list down here in the output. So all these examples just specify the item is removed from the list. And in some of these cases, a new list is created without the removed item. Now, a dictionary is a collection of key value pairs enclosed in curly braces. Let's take a look at a few examples here. So let's create a variable name for our dictionary called user info. We want to assign our dictionary, which is open close curly brackets. And then we have a key separated by a value. So in this case, our value is going to be a string value, and the key values are always strings. So we can say name. The value is going to be John. And then instead of typing all these out, what I like to do is actually trail this with a comma, and then copy and paste these. So let's say we have 3 here, and then you can rename age. You can get rid of the value here. You could just say 13, and then for our final value, we could say location, New York. And then you always want to get rid of that trailing comma for your last item in any collection. So the variable name user_info is used to store a user's personal information on a Facebook account. In this case, the value assigned to user info is a dictionary with keys of name, of age, and then location. And the respective values are John, 13, and New York. Let's create another one. So we could call this Facebook Friends. Once again, open, closed brackets, curly brackets. We can copy paste just like we did for the last dictionary. And let's call this key Alice, and the value we're going to have is friend. And then we could say Bob, and the value is also friend. And then Charlie, frenemy. And then let's get rid of that trailing comma because it's at the end of our list. And so here with our Facebook friends variable, you can see in our dictionary, we have relationship status of users Facebook friends. So the value assigned to friends is a dictionary with keys of Alice, Bob, and Charlie, and their respective values of friend, acquaintance, and family. Cool, so let's do one more dictionary. We could call this Facebook _page _likes. And again, to open and close brackets, and then we can copy paste these values and get rid of that trailing. And we'll call this cars, and this could be of the value 200. And then we can create a music key. Then we can create a music key with the value of 150. And then a sports key with the value of 100. All right, so in this case, we have our Facebook page likes variable, and it's used to store the number of likes on a user's Facebook page. So in this case, the value assigned to page likes is a dictionary with keys of cars, music, and sports, and the values are 200, 150, and 100. So now we have our dictionaries, and how do we access the information in our dictionaries? So a dictionary is just a collection of key value pairs, which each key is associated with a value. So you can add items to a dictionary in several ways, but how do we just say print an item in user info? So what we can do is call our user info, obviously, and we can use the square brackets, and then we can include the name of the key and run print. And actually you can see that name is not defined. So to access items within our dictionaries, we list the name of the dictionary with square brackets, and then we need to remember that the keys are strings themselves. So we can say that we want the string of name and run this, and it will print the value for that key of name, which is John. So if we wanted the age, again, our age key is a string, so we access it as a string when we're calling it, and we get the value of 13. Now let's try another dictionary here, square brackets, and then let's say we want to access sports. The key is a string, so we would add sports. And then notice if I change the capitalization that we get an error, so you can see that it is case sensitive when you're accessing dictionary values through each key. You can also use the built-in get method. So we could say .get and then the key name of music, and we get the value of 150 here. Or if we wanted to grab the value of, let's try Facebook friends again. Actually, let's use our .get, open and close parenthesis. Our keys are strings, so we will access Bob as a string, and it is case sensitive. And then we should see our friend here. Now let's try accessing some. Now let's try updating items within our let's update items within our dictionaries. So we can do this several ways. We can use the square bracket notation, which we've been using. So we could, for instance, call our friends dictionary. Can use our square brackets to access, and remember that the type of key is a string. And if we want Charlie, for instance, we remember that your key is also case sensitive. And let's say we wanted to update from frenemy to friends because let's say that Charlie bought us a cake. So now we're friends. And if we print our friends, you can see that we now have Charlie as a friend here. We could also, like we've used before, we could use these square brackets and then print the value, or the value for the key of Charlie, and he is in fact a friend. Also, we can update our dictionaries by using the update method itself. So we can add multiple items to a dictionary by passing a dictionary or an iterable object like a list or a tuple, these key value pairs with the update method. So we can call our info, call our update method with open close parenthesis, and then from here we can include, say, a range of items with the dictionary open and close curly braces. So let's say we wanted to add not just name, age, location in our user info, but say we wanted to add the day. We could create the key here, and we could say the day of the week, and then we could give it a value of Friday. And then now we can print our user info. And you can see we have day appended to the end of our list. We could also add multiple items this way, separated by commas. Run, and you can see once again appended to the end of our list. Now let's look at using the dictionary, or the dict method or constructor. You can create a new dictionary and you can add items to it by passing an iterable object like a list or a tuple. So these are key value pairs to the dict constructor. So we can say friends, and we can inside of here we can add our square brackets, and then for each for the dictionary we want to add pairs of items with parentheses here. It looks a little weird at first, but we're going to take a look at this in a second. Adds the value of 1. We're going to separate these parentheses. B is our key and our value is 2. And we're going to separate this. C, 3. And so now if we print our friends, you can see that the Facebook Friends is now updated with an entirely new dictionary of key value pairs, and we actually changed the types as well within that dictionary. So this overwrote that dictionary. Now let's look at removing items from dictionaries. So we can use the del keyword, del, and then call our dictionary user info, and then our square brackets, and then call the key name. So if we wanted to get rid of, say, the first item in our dictionary, and then now we can print user info, and then you can see that item indeed was removed. Can also use the pop method for our dictionaries. So we can call our dictionary dot pop and call, let's see, cars, and then print the update. And then you can see this has removed the element of cars from that dictionary. When you use pop, just remember that it removes the key value pair from the dictionary and also returns that value which was associated with that key. So you can also use the pop method with a second argument, which will return if the key is not found in the dictionary. So as an example, if we said my return value would be for user info dot pop, and if we wanted, say, location, and print my return value, you can see that we've actually removed the location element from our dictionary, and now we have added it to the variable named myReturnValue. We can also add information here in addition to popping, and this second parameter here, or the second argument, is returned if the key is not found in the dictionary. So you could say none, and let's say we didn't have this in our dictionary, we could remove this, and then you will see none replaced. So it's a default value in the case that the value is not found. So thanks for joining me in the tutorial today. We covered data types, variables, and assignments, and I will see you guys soon.